My family threw a surprise party, but told me I wasn't invited because I make things weird, so I gave them a memory they'll never get rid of. Here's what happened. A few weeks ago, I got this random phone call from my cousin Jasmine, and she's like, "Hey, I'm so excited for next weekend." I go, "Huh? What's next weekend?" There was this awkward pause, and then she says, "Oh shoot, I thought you'd know by now." Know what exactly? So she tries to backtrack, mumbles something about maybe having the date wrong, says she has to call me back, and hangs up. At this point, I'm just confused. I text her, "Hey, you okay? What's going on next weekend?" No response. So I do what any normal person does. I scroll through Instagram and TikTok, trying to see if I missed anything, and that's when I see it. A TikTok from my youngest cousin dancing around with a banner behind her that says, "Surprise!" There's balloons, streamers, my grandma holding a red velvet cake, and my aunt yelling something like, "She's gonna freak when she sees this." It was my mom's 60th birthday, a full-on surprise party, and I was not invited. I thought maybe it was an old video or someone's repost. I even told myself it might be for another family member. But no. It was for my own mother. And the thing is, we had just spoken the day before. She called me to ask if I remembered the name of her old college roommate. Nothing else, not a word about a party, nothing weird in her voice. I felt this chill crawl up my back. I wasn't just forgotten, I was excluded. On purpose. So I call my sister. I go, "Hey, was there a party being planned for Mom?" And she goes, and I kid you not, she goes, "Oh, yeah, we just figured you make things a little weird." I literally froze. "Excuse me," I said. She sighs like I'm the one being dramatic and says, "It's just that you always overthink things, and it felt like this party should be more chill, like light and fun. No drama." No drama? Babe, the only drama is y'all lying behind my back for 2 months and throwing a whole event without me. So I say, "You think I'm dramatic, and you think this isn't dramatic?" And she goes, "Look, it's not personal. We just didn't want any awkward vibes. Not personal." Meanwhile, our cousin who literally stole money from grandma last year was standing front and center in that TikTok with a party hat and a slice of cake. But I'm the awkward one. Okay. I sat on the floor of my hallway for like an hour after that. My cat came over and just laid on me like, "Girl, breathe." And then the flood of memories hit. Every birthday, every family trip, every holiday dinner where I tried too hard or didn't try enough. Every time I felt like I was just slightly off, like I had to work twice as hard to be included in my own family. I remembered last Christmas when my mom said, "You always get so intense about gift giving, it makes people uncomfortable." I literally hand-knit her a scarf. Sorry for having feelings? And 2 years ago when I baked a whole 3-tier cake for Thanksgiving, and my sister joked that I was trying too hard to go viral. It's like everything I do is too much. But when I pull back, I'm distant. Apparently it's a lose-lose. Always. So yeah, I cried. I curled up in bed with a glass of Moscato and cried like I was 12 again. But something clicked in me that night. Like, screw this. Screw being the scapegoat. The weird one. The one they whisper about but never talk to directly. If they didn't want me at the party because I make things weird, fine. But they better believe I was going to give them something truly unforgettable. And not in a petty, childish way. I mean in a you will think about this for the rest of your life kind of way. That brings us to what I like to call Operation Memory Burn-In. So, after I finished crying into my wine, I grabbed a notebook and a purple gel pen and started writing. Call it dramatic, call it extra, I don't care. I needed a plan. Step 1. Show up. Period. 'Cause I knew exactly where and when the party was happening. Thank you, TikTok location tags and my cousins need to go viral. It was set for Saturday at 4 p.m. at Aunt Tanya's house. And Aunt Tanya's not exactly subtle, like, this woman still puts plastic over her furniture and has one of those giant lawn flags that says, "Bless this mess." So yeah, couldn't miss it. Here's the thing, when people decide you're too much, they count on you shrinking. They expect you to slink away, cry quietly, and stay in your lane. But what if you don't? What if you show up more? And not in a flip-the-table kind of way. I'm not trying to ruin my mom's birthday, but I am trying to send a message. Like, loud and clear. One that says, you don't get to erase me and still act like you're the good guys. So I made my move. But first, I called Jasmine, the cousin who accidentally spilled the beans, and I said, "Hey, I owe you one." She goes, "Wait, what? Did I do something?" I said, "Don't worry. You did exactly what I needed." She was super awkward and tried to backpedal, but I reassured her I wasn't mad. And then I asked her straight up, "Are you going to the party?" She goes, "Yeah, I mean, I thought you'd be there too." That's why I was surprised. I told her, "Funny. Apparently, I make things too weird to be invited." Her silence was loud. She finally says, "That's so messed up. Honestly, I thought y'all were cool again." "We were," I told her. "But apparently I missed the meeting where they voted me off the island. And here's where it gets juicy." I asked her, super casually, if she knew what people were wearing. She goes, "Oh, yeah, it's like pastel cocktail. Everyone's going a little extra, there's even a photographer coming." Perfect. I said thanks and hung up. And then I got to work on the outfit. Listen, when someone says you make things weird, what they usually mean is you make them uncomfortable with how authentic you are. So I leaned into that hard. I wore this icy lavender jumpsuit that fit like it was stitched onto me. Gold heels, hair slicked back. Simple but sharp. I wanted to look like I had RSVP'd to a Vogue event and just happened to pop in. And I brought a gift. A big one. wrapped in silver foil paper with a giant purple bow. Inside was a framed photo of me and my mom from my high school graduation, but the one where she's crying and hugging me like I'm her whole world. It's honestly one of my favorite pictures of us before all the weird distance started creeping in. I included a handwritten note too. Just 3 sentences. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you. I hope you remember this version of us too. Yeah, I was going full emotional ninja. The goal wasn't to ruin her day, I needed her to feel something. To remember I'm not some storm cloud ruining their sunny group photos. I'm her daughter. I exist. And I've been here, even when it was uncomfortable. So Saturday rolls around. I parked down the block and waited in the car for a bit, just watching people arrive. They were all laughing, carrying gifts, hugging like a Hallmark commercial. My stomach was doing flips. Then I saw her. My mom. She stepped out of her car in this pale blue wrap dress and heels, looking honestly incredible. She smiled as people greeted her. She looked genuinely happy. And I almost chickened out. Almost. But then I remembered what my sister said. We figured you'd make things a little weird. I got out of the car, grabbed the gift, and walked down that block like it was a runway. People noticed me right away. I saw Jasmine's eyes go wide. My uncle literally dropped a canopy. I swear someone gasped. And then, silence. I walked right into the yard, waved at my cousin filming a TikTok, and said, "Hey, y'all." Surprise. My sister's face? Priceless. It looked like she'd just swallowed a bug. She whispered something to our mom, who turned around and saw me standing there with the gift. She didn't look mad, she looked startled. Like she was trying to figure out if I was real. And then she said, "Oh, you came?" I smiled. Of course I did. You're my mom. That's when the patio split. Half the people were clearly on edge, like they were waiting for me to start yelling or something. The other half looked thrilled. A few even hugged me. And you know what I did? I floated. I smiled, I complimented Aunt Tanya's spread, I made light small talk, I handed my mom the gift and kissed her cheek. She looked stunned the whole time. And when she opened the card, I could see her blinking fast, like she was trying not to cry. So here's where it gets real messy. At first, after I showed up and handed my mom that gift, the vibe actually seemed to shift. Like the energy settled. People started breathing again. Even my cousin Marcus, who once said I give off CEO energy in a bad way, gave me a side hug and said, "You look good, cuz." And for a second I thought maybe this wasn't a disaster. My mom even hugged me. Not just one of those weird stiff high and by hugs. A real one. Full arms around my back. It was short, but I felt it. She whispered, "You look beautiful." And y'all, that sentence almost cracked me in half. Because no matter how messy or distant things have gotten between us, a daughter always hears that sentence from her mom differently. It hits somewhere deep. So I told myself, stay chill, smile, be your own best vibe. And for about 30 minutes it worked. I chatted with people, sipped lemonade, took a few selfies with my cousins. I even helped a toddler untangle her balloon from a lawn chair. Felt like maybe I could be part of this again. But then came the moment. The moment that reminded me why I was never really safe in this family dynamic in the first place. I was standing near the cake table, talking to Jasmine and another cousin about Taylor Swift's last album, like completely normal stuff, when I heard my name, low and sharp, from across the yard. It was my sister. She was standing with 2 of her friends, the one she always invites to family things even though they're not family and they act like they're doing you a favor by showing up. One of them goes, "Wait, isn't she the one you said always hijack stuff?" And my sister, my own sister, laughed. Then she said, "She loves to play the victim. Watch her start crying if mom doesn't make a speech about her." Y'all, I stood there frozen. I wasn't even eavesdropping, they weren't whispering. They wanted me to hear. That's the part that stung. It wasn't just a joke, it was a performance, a reminder. Don't get too comfortable. You're still the weird one, the outsider, the problem. Jasmine made this little noise, like a gasp stuck in her throat. She looked at me like, "Do you want to leave?" But something in me snapped. Or maybe it clicked. Took a deep breath and with the calmest, sweetest voice I could muster, I said, "Hey, I just wanted to say thank you." My sister blinked. For what? For reminding me why I stopped showing up. Before she could say anything, I kept going. "It's really brave of you to keep talking crap out loud like that. You should get that confidence sponsored." Her friends both did that awkward little laugh people do when they want to disappear. And then I turned to leave. But not to walk out. To go make my own speech. See, Aunt Tanya has this little wireless microphone for family parties. She uses it to do announcements like "time for cake" or "the baby's gonna open gifts." It was sitting right there by the food table. I walked over, picked it up and tapped the mic twice. The whole yard turned. I said, "Hi everyone. Just a quick note before cake, I want to say something." Now I could feel the tension. My mom's eyes went wide. My sister looked like she was about to fake faint. "I know I wasn't invited today," I said. "And I'm not here to ruin anything. But I am here because this woman right here," I pointed at my mom, "is the reason I exist. And despite what anyone else might think, I wanted to celebrate her." Silence. I know I can be too much. I know I've been called emotional, intense, dramatic, all of it. But what I am above anything else is real. And real shows up. Real doesn't forget birthdays. Real doesn't need a perfect vibe to love somebody. A few people gasped. One person clapped. Not even kidding. I smiled. And if that makes me weird, then good, I hope I make things weird forever. I put the mic down and walked straight over to the cake table, picked up a slice and took a bite. Vanilla with raspberry filling. Honestly, kind of mid. But that moment was 10 out of 10. You could hear a pin drop for about 15 seconds after I finished. Then someone made a joke about how Aunt Tanya's mic is dangerous, and the party awkwardly restarted. The energy was chaotic and fake after that, like when you unpause a sitcom after a power outage. But I didn't care. I did it. And more importantly, they couldn't ignore me anymore. I was part of the day whether they liked it or not. But the real twist was still coming, because what I didn't know was that my mom had overheard my sister's little performance too, and she was about to say something I never expected to hear. After my mic drop moment, the party didn't exactly crash and burn, but it definitely got glitchy. You know when a party looks normal on the outside, but the energy is off? Like people are still eating and laughing, but nobody's really making eye contact. Yeah, that. My sister disappeared for a while. I think she went inside the house to regroup. Maybe throw a tantrum in Aunt Tanya's walk-in pantry. Her little posse awkwardly scattered, probably to go gossip in the corner or text their group chat about how unhinged I was. Meanwhile, I went and sat on the edge of the patio. I just needed air. I wasn't sad exactly. I felt weirdly calm. Like after years of trying to squeeze myself into this family mold, I'd finally just cracked it open and said, I don't fit and that's okay. Then I felt someone sit down beside me. I turned and it was my mom. Now listen. Me and my mom have had history. Not the explosive kind. More like the slow, passive kind. Like little disappointments that build up into a wall. She's never been mean, but she's never seen me either. Until now. She sat there quietly for a second, then said, that was brave. I blinked. What was? What you said. With the mic. Most people wouldn't have had the guts. I kind of laughed like a sad little puff of breath. I didn't feel brave. I felt invisible. She nodded slowly. I didn't know they didn't invite you. I looked at her like she was joking. You didn't? No. Your sister told me you were working. She said you had a thing and couldn't come. I assumed she invited you and you declined. I felt my whole chest lock up. She told you I said no? She did. Y'all. I almost blacked out. 'Cause that little lie changed everything. She manipulated our mom into thinking I flaked, like I chose not to be there, like I didn't care. And suddenly every weird family moment made sense. Every time my mom seemed cold or confused about why I didn't show up for something, this was probably why. She lied to you, I said flatly. My mom looked stunned. And not just stunned, but hurt. Like she hadn't even considered the possibility until now. Then she said something I never expected. She's been doing that a lot lately. I turned to her. What do you mean? She twists things, she said quietly. Changes little details, makes herself sound like the peacemaker. But somehow she always walks away clean, and someone else is the problem. My heart dropped. She told me you ruined Thanksgiving last year because you showed up late and started drama over the cranberry sauce, she continued. But now I'm wondering. Mom, I said. I brought the cranberry sauce. She let out a breathy laugh, like of course you did. Then she looked at me, eyes glossy. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry I believed her. Y'all, I didn't know what to say. I just sat there, kind of stunned, kind of heartbroken, because this wasn't just about a party. Never was. It was about being erased, gaslit, misunderstood. And hearing my mom finally acknowledge it, finally see me, that cracked something open. I said, I've been trying so hard to be included, but it's like I'm always one step behind. Like there's a version of me everyone talks about when I'm not around and I don't get to defend myself. She nodded. I think that's exactly what's been happening. Then she said something else, soft but firm. I need to have a conversation with your sister. My eyes widened. You don't have to. No, she cut in. I do. Because this isn't just about a party, it's about how we treat people in this family. And I let it go too long. She reached over, squeezed my hand, and said, thank you for showing up. In every way. And that was the moment I realized I wasn't crazy. That the way I felt for years, the weird tension, the exclusion, the side eyes and silent treatment, it wasn't in my head. It was real. And now it wasn't invisible anymore. So after my mom said she was going to talk to my sister, I didn't really know what to expect. Like part of me assumed it would be one of those surface level, let's all just move on kind of chats. Kind where everyone pretends to be over it, but the tension just finds a new place to hide. But nope, she meant talk. 15 minutes later, I was sipping lukewarm lemonade under the shade tent, trying to blend in with the rest of the extended fam when I saw them. My mom and my sister, standing by the side of the house just out of earshot. My mom had one hand on her hip, the other gesturing slowly, firmly. My sister had her arms crossed, mouth tight, eyes flickering with that look she gets when she's about to cry or scream. It was weird watching it play out from a distance. Like watching a soap opera with the sound turned off. Jasmine slid up next to me and whispered, I think your mom just went full truth mode. I said good. She nodded. About time. They talked for maybe 10 minutes. And I mean talked. My sister kept cutting in, clearly trying to spin it, but my mom wasn't budging. She kept her voice calm, but her body language was giving full teacher energy. Firm, controlled, tired of the BS. And then my sister stormed inside. Didn't say a word to anyone, just turned, heels clacking on the pavement, and disappeared through Aunt Tanya's sliding glass door like she was fleeing a crime scene. My mom took a deep breath, smoothed her dress, and walked back toward me. She looked lighter. Still tired, but like she'd finally dropped something she'd been carrying for way too long. She's upset, she said, but she needed to hear it. I nodded. What did you say? I told her I'm done believing half stories. I told her I've watched her isolate you in subtle ways for years and that I was ashamed it took me this long to see it. Y'all, I could have collapsed on the lawn. Then she added, I told her family isn't about controlling who gets to be in the room. It's about making sure no one's left out. There it was. Everything I've ever needed her to say, wrapped in that one sentence. And before I could even respond, a voice popped in from behind me. Oh, please. Are we seriously doing this here? We turned. And there she was, my sister. Back from her dramatic exit, red-eyed but trying to act unaffected. She crossed her arms and said, So now I'm the villain? I blinked. You made me the villain for years. She laughed, like a bitter little scoff. Because you make everything so heavy all the time. We try to keep it light and easy, and you always bring this emotional chaos. Emotional chaos? That was what she thought of me. I stood up slowly. My hands were shaking, but I wasn't scared. I was just done. You don't get to call it chaos just because you don't understand it, I said. I show up with real feelings, and you treat that like a flaw. My mom added, It's not a flaw. It's honest. And I'm tired of pretending that emotional honesty is a burden. My sister rolled her eyes. This is insane. I planned the whole party, I made everything perfect, and now I'm the bad guy because I didn't invite someone who always makes things awkward? Perfect for who? I asked. She didn't answer, so I kept going. You didn't want me here because I make people feel. 'Cause I say the uncomfortable thing out loud. 'Cause I make it hard to sweep crap under the rug. That's not awkward. That's real. You're just scared of real. She opened her mouth, then shut it. She looked like she wanted to throw something. Or cry. Or both. I stepped closer, just enough so she had to look at me. You lied about me to Mom. To everyone. And you got away with it for years. But that ends today. My mom placed a hand on her shoulder and said, You need to ask yourself why you've been so invested in keeping your sister out. Silence. And then, the smallest voice I've ever heard come out of my sister. Because she always shines. What? What do you mean? I asked. She looked down. Her voice cracked. You always shine. People listen to you. They feel things around you. Even when you're messy, they see you. I've spent my whole life being the pretty one or the organized one, but you're unforgettable. I didn't know what to say. 'Cause I never wanted to compete. I never wanted to be brighter, I just wanted to belong. She sniffled and said, It felt easier to frame you as the problem. If people thought you were too much, they wouldn't notice how invisible I felt. And y'all, I won't lie. That moment hurt. But it also made sense. It wasn't right. It wasn't fair. But it was human. My mom pulled us both in and said, This family needs to stop hiding from the truth. And just like that, the air shifted. Again. It wasn't a movie ending, but it was real. And finally honest. I didn't forgive her in that moment, that stuff takes time. But I saw her. And for the first time, I think she finally saw me too. So yeah, after that mic drop level family confrontation, the vibe of the party was strange. Like one of those storms that passes over a beach. Everything looks fine again, but the sand is still damp and the sky isn't totally done with you. Some people were pretending not to notice anything. Others were clearly eavesdropping from behind the deviled eggs tray. My Uncle Tony came over and tried to make a joke about how this party's got layers, huh? And I just gave him a look. My sister disappeared again. This time for real. Ghosted herself into the kitchen and didn't come back out. I stayed. 'Cause I wanted to. Not out of spite or pettiness, but because I had earned the right to be there. And honestly, something in me needed that. To feel the sun on my face, to laugh at something dumb with Jasmine, to help one of the little cousins glue sequins onto a party hat like everything was fine. It wasn't fine, but it wasn't fake anymore either. And that was something. Now here's the part where things get poetic. Right before cake time, Aunt Tanya grabs the mic, yes, the mic, and says, Okay everyone, before we cut the cake, we have a little something for Mom. Cue the music. Like legit soft piano. Somebody had a whole playlist set up. Then Jasmine stands up and pulls out this giant poster board. And y'all, it's a photo collage. Of my mom. Childhood photos, her wedding day, pictures of her with us as kids. Her at work, her on vacation, her holding my baby cousin with this huge smile on her face. And in the very center, that photo. The one I put in the frame. The me and my mom at my high school graduation. The one where we're both crying and laughing and holding on to each other like we didn't know the future would get so complicated. I turned to Jasmine, eyes wide. She whispered. I swapped it in. I was floored. My mom saw it too. Her hand flew to her chest. She mouthed, oh wow, and blinked hard. Then she looked right at me and nodded, just once like, yes, I see you. No words. Just that. But it meant more than anything she could have said out loud. When it came time to cut the cake, someone tried to hand the knife to my sister, because she was technically the planner, but she was still nowhere in sight. So my mom turned and said, would you do the honors? I thought she meant Aunt Tanya. Nope, she meant me. Y'all. I blinked. Like, literally looked over my shoulder to make sure she wasn't talking to someone else. Me? I asked. She smiled. You showed up. You brought a gift. You gave a speech. You brought the vibe. This memory's yours too. So yeah, I cut the cake. And in that moment, I swear, the whole family looked at me differently. Not like I was the black sheep, but like someone who belonged. Someone they had underestimated, and finally had to acknowledge. Even the photographer caught it, snapped a picture of me smiling next to the cake, my mom standing behind me with her hand on my shoulder. That photo went on Instagram later that night. Caption: grateful for the memories we'll never forget. That was my mom's post, and I know it was directed at me. After the party, I helped clean up a little. Nothing major, just stacked plates, picked up glitter confetti, avoided the awkward eye contact from the people who'd clearly heard the whole earlier drama but were too scared to mention it. My mom hugged me goodbye. Again. And this time she said something that honestly broke me. I don't want us to go back to how it was. I want better if you're willing. And yeah, I was willing. I still am. We're not perfect now. Me and my sister didn't magically heal overnight. She texted me a few days later, a half apology, half excuse kind of thing. I didn't respond right away, I'm taking my time. But that party that day literally changed everything. Because now every time someone brings it up, and trust me, they do, it's not the surprise party for mom. It's that party where the truth came out. That party where she showed up and reminded everyone who the heck she was. That party where things finally got real. And yeah, maybe I did make things weird, but I also made them honest. And unforgettable. Which, let's be real, was the point all along. Okay, so I thought the storm was over. I thought the air had cleared, the cake had been cut, and everyone had left with a paper plate full of potato salad and a better understanding of what actually happened that day. But I forgot one thing. The family group chat. You know, the one, the eternal pit of happy birthday Aunt Lisa and forwarded Bible memes and that one cousin who only ever replies in bitmojis. Yeah, that chat exploded the next morning. 8:02 a.m., Aunt Tanya sends a message. Beautiful party yesterday, so much love in the air. Happy birthday again, sis. Cute. Innocent. You'd think this was the end. 8:04 a.m., Cousin Dwayne replies with a balloon emoji and a gif of somebody dancing with cake. Still normal. 8:07 a.m., my sister enters the chat, and she drops this nuclear passive-aggressive bomb. Glad we all enjoyed the party, even if some people hijacked it to make it about themselves. Girl, not good morning. Not thanks to everyone who helped. Just straight up coming for me with a smiley face that felt like a slap. Jasmine texted me separately with, I didn't. Oh yes, she did. And I could have ignored it, I could have taken the high road. But you know what? After everything I'd been through, I built a whole express lane on the low road with scenic views and snacks. So I responded. In the chat. Nothing was hijacked. I showed up for my mom, gave her a gift, and said some real things. You're the one who made it awkward by lying and excluding your own sister. Don't blame me for the fallout. Silence. For 2 whole minutes, not a single message. Then, Aunt Tanya replied. I thought what she said was powerful. We need more honesty in this family. Cue the subtle alliance shift. Cousin Marcus chimed in with, for real. It's been weird for years and no one talks about it. And then my mom, yes, my mother, the queen of neutral tone conflict avoidance, said, let's not act like this was random. I didn't know she was excluded until she showed up. That's on us. I could have cried. Again. But I was too busy trying not to pass out from the sheer vindication. My sister left the chat 20 minutes later. Didn't say a word, just dipped. Petty. Conic. Predictable. After that, things quieted down, in the chat at least. But in real life, people started reaching out. Cousins I hadn't heard from in months DM'd me like, I always thought you got treated unfairly tbh. Low-key admired how you handled that. You made that party real. Thank you. I even got a text from my older half-brother. We don't talk much, but he said, that speech was fire. I showed my wife. She cried. Like, what is my life right now? Felt surreal. I spent so long being the odd one out. The too emotional one. The family wildcard who couldn't be trusted not to ruin the vibe. But all I ever really wanted was to be heard. That's it. Not to control the narrative. Just to be in it. To not have to explain my existence or water myself down to fit. And now people finally got that. Especially my mom. She called me 2 days later. Hey, I was thinking of doing lunch this weekend. Just us. That just us hit like a hug. So we went. And we talked. Like really talked. About old stuff, new stuff. Her childhood. Mine, where we missed each other. Where we can do better. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And for the first time in years, I left a lunch with my mom feeling full in a way no food could have done. I also left with the leftovers of her birthday cake. She said I earned it. And I did. It's funny how one day, one moment really, can change the story you've been telling yourself for years. Because if you had asked me before that party who I was in my family, I would have said something like, the dramatic one. The outsider. The one who makes everything weird. But now I'd say I'm the one who shook things loose. Who forced the truth out into the open. Who stayed when I had every reason to walk away. And that version of me? I actually like her. So what happened after all that? Did my sister suddenly become nice? Nah, not exactly. But something changed. We're not close. Maybe not ever in the way TV sisters are, but we're clearer. She actually texted me the week after the party. Not to apologize, but to say, I don't know how to fix all of it, but I'm not going to lie about you anymore. That was wrong. And honestly, that was enough. For now. We'll see where it goes. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm also not closing the door. My mom, on the other hand, we've been rebuilding something. We had that lunch. Then another. And now we've got this Sunday brunch thing going, just the two of us every couple weeks. It's low-key. We talk about random stuff, work, recipes, whatever she's watching on Netflix, but the vibe is soft. One day, she brought an old photo album from the garage, said she found it while cleaning. Inside were baby pictures. The me in those puffy onesies with bows bigger than my head, her holding me like the whole world was in her arms. She pointed to one photo and said, "You always had this spark." I think I got scared when I couldn't control it. That was the most honest thing she's ever said to me. I told her, "You don't have to control it. Just see it." She nodded. I do now. Cue the tears. I think we're both still learning how to be softer, how to listen, how to repair something without pretending it was never broken. As for the rest of the family, some people shifted toward me, others didn't. And that's okay. 'Cause here's the deal. I'm not going back into the shadows to make anyone more comfortable. And I'm definitely not apologizing for being too emotional, too much, or yes, too weird. I'm reclaiming weird. You know why? 'Cause weird is the reason my mom cried when she saw that old photo. Weird is why Jasmine swapped in my gift when no one asked her to. Weird is what gave that party a spine. So yeah, I did give them a memory they'll never get rid of. 'Cause I told the truth, in a family that's been ducking it for years. And now, every time they talk about that birthday party, it's always the same line. Oh yeah, that party. The one with the surprise guest. The unexpected speech. The overdue reckoning. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Honestly. And please consider subscribing if you like the story. Peace out.